Welcome to Gray Matters, the podcast for women who are done with the one-size-fits-all health advice and ready for real, honest conversations about hormones, fitness, and feeling like themselves again. I'm your host, Haley Pindle, here with my amazing co-host, the Dr. Emily Marshall, here to serve you guys in the best way possible. So let's get into what matters.
Yeah, let's get into what matters.
Yeah. Firstly, I'm going to request from you, Emily, an update on how the puppy life is going.
Oh my, I am so pumped. It has been a blast. No, it really has. I love it. She's such a sweetheart. Thanks for asking. How's your puppy?
He's a menace.
You know, puppies are a reflection of their leader.
It's true. And also, wiener dogs are their own kind of breed. Like, my mom has a wiener dog and we also have a Bernedoodle.
You do, yeah.
Bernedoodle, like, a million times more obedient, and we did the exact same training. Wiener dogs are just
they're wieners,
their own person. It's just crazy. But
no,
yeah,
that's great.
Don't know if I'm gonna get another small dog. Big dogs, like, my whole life I've had bigger dogs. My brother is getting a dog too. Oh my god, why is everyone getting a dog? However, I have told my brother, I'm like, you know what? I kind of regret doing this because he's right now doing a lot of stuff. He's a very busy guy.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's getting a dog. And so I was like, you know what? I regret doing what I did and you should not do what I did. And he's doing it anyways. So I'm like secretly excited because I get to play with the puppy, but I can't tell him I'm excited. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, I get you. Well, because it's one of those things. I have multiple times been so happy that we did not get a puppy while we had newborns, toddlers even. Like, that is, no.
You're just asking for, like, my gosh, I can't imagine that either. Like, this was hard enough. Like, just one element of surprise.
Just one, not multiple.
I just need one at a time, but I did like 3, and now my brother's doing like 15 at a time. Which is absolutely crazy, but whatever. I'm here for the ride.
He's your older brother or younger?
Yeah, he's my older brother.
He can make his own choices then, I suppose.
It's funny. I was just at my grandma's house yesterday, and we were like, you know what? People just have to figure it out on their own. Like, you can tell them till the cows come home, and they don't know until you like actually get into it yourself.
It's so true.
Yeah, because he's like very, oh yeah, I'm going to train my dog so well, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay. Whatever.
Okay, with what time do you have? It does require time investment.
Well, yeah. Oh my gosh. An uncanny amount of time investment and also sleep deprivation. So.
I'm not even going to tell you about how my dog sleeps.
Well, does she sleep well?
Yeah. So well.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
like
such a
sleep
relief.
Deprivation. Not over here. No, just...
You know what? I gotta get some of your magic from your house. Like,
well, yeah, you probably do.
Yeah, I do. Speaking of, magic, have you ever had any like digestive problems, or are you pretty good in that front too?
Dude, I'm a champ. I am a champ. Well, right now, digestion is good, but throughout the course of my lifetime, there have definitely been issues. Do you want to hear about them?
You know I do. I'm here for the story time.
I figured you would. I had chronic cankers growing up, and cankers are in your mouth, but newsflash, that's part of your digestive tract, and typically is a reflection of how the rest of it's doing. I was always told, well, this is just we went to the medical doctor at the time. It was like, this is just an autoimmune issue. There's nothing you can do. Okay. So fast forward years of chronic cankers every couple weeks. Like, it was awful. I'd have like 6 in my mouth and it was like very sore. Like, have you ever had one?
Yes. And I don't get them often, knock on wood, but they are very uncomfortable.
They're very uncomfortable. Yeah. So I always had multiples, like ever since I was, I don't know how young, but I can at least remember them being when I was like 8 to 10 years old onward through high school. And I didn't realize why I was having them. And they started to get a little bit better in adulthood, but I would still have rounds of them. And it was all connected with how high my stress levels were. Mm-hmm. And so even you think, well, you were stressed as a kid. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've shared some of my stories of my sleep not being great with like night terrors and all of that. And then all the intense training and not eating enough food, not realizing that at the time. Then thinking, okay, which food am I kind of allergic to? And I thought, oh, I just eat too many tomatoes, like too acidic, that sort of thing, right? Went through all these different trains of thought, then ended up, it came to an all-time crux point during my last pregnancy, because I had cankers, I had hair falling out, that happens anyways after you have a baby, but still it seemed like it was more than normal. And where was I going with this? And then, so I had chronic cankers, but then I also had mastitis and like just a lot of inflammatory issues. And my feet would feel so inflamed and it was just awful. So that's when I switched to carnivore for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had fixed. Well, this was coming off of all through chiropractic college, I was paleo. So it was like I was already eating clean in the sense of, no prepackaged foods. It was all like meats, sweet potatoes, nuts, whatever, avocado and other types of fruits and some veggies, right? So I was very clean with that. And then I was like, I'm going to go even more intense and just go meat only. Did that for a while and it did actually clear them up. My mastitis issues went away. And then my cankers went away. My headaches went away. My sinuses cleared up. Like everything got better. Then I started working. That's when I was like, oh, look, I'm feeling so much better. I'm doing so much better. That's when I started working out more again. That would have been about a year out from having Coulson. So I'm still in that postpartum phase. I start working out way too hard, way too fast. Then it's like I wasn't eating enough calories on carnivore to sustain. Now I'm I'm still up in the night. I'm weaning off breastfeeding and my hormones are changing with that. Plus now adding in harder workouts. And I just started to have immune crashes. And that's when my cankers didn't come back though, just thinking gut health wise, right? But I ended up, definitely needing more calories. And that's when we started podcasting together some more. I was still really resistant to you even saying things like, oh yeah, you should have, I'm trying to think, oh, your oats. And I'm like, dude, no. So inflammatory, because that would have been something in the past for me that would have caused cankers. Mm-hmm. And same thing with corn and some types of wheat. I thought it needed to be gluten-free. I do find it interesting now observing people who are like, no, I can't. I'm gluten-free. And I'm kind of like, interesting. Why are you gluten-free? It like intrigues me. That being said, I'm still not super heavy on those things. Like I don't like to go overboard on the breads and the oats, but I will have some and my body can actually handle it and not get cankers unless I'm extremely underslept and overtraining.
Yeah. I think that is a really great example of like you can kind of choose your gut bacteria to some extent. So when you were going through all these autoimmune issues, right, you went carnivore and that essentially starved all of the bad bacteria that was maybe causing some of your immune issues. And so once you starved them, they died off and you were able to make the good bacteria flourish. The only issue with that is carnivore is very restrictive, right? Yes. And so how practical was that to actually keep into your life and maintain? So now you have to figure out like, okay, how can I add some more diverse foods? Because essentially like oats aren't bad, right? Corn isn't bad. Carbs aren't bad. Vegetables aren't bad. They're actually really good. And it's really good to have a diverse kind of diet. So you can make the good bacteria flourish and probiotics, prebiotics, all of that stuff, right? So how did you start to incorporate some more maybe plant foods and things like that after you had gone carnivore? Because I'm assuming there's also a bit of fear going into that you can speak to as well, of like, okay, what is going to happen now? Am I going to just go back to, feeling like crap? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. Let me think about this. I don't lean fear as much as, okay, let me think about how this, it wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm afraid to eat these foods. I kind of felt like mentally I was like, oh no, this is amazing. I healed my gut. Let's like test with what else can I add in? And this was, we were mostly carnivore for probably 2 years at least. And I mean, I had my kids doing it. They not as strictly, but there was kind of, I'm just going to go on a little tangent of pros and cons to that because I think it's kind of interesting. pros, my kids are great with eating eggs. They eat chicken, they eat beef, they eat fish. So they're great with their proteins. They still have times where you're like, you put a fresh loaf of bread and an egg and they're like, I just want to eat toast. But we are like, no, if you're eating toast, you're eating an egg with it. Like we're trying to get them well-rounded, have some berries, But so pro was they all actually learned to eat proteins well, which is an issue with kids. It's hard to, like a lot of parents are just like, no, my kid only eats pizza and whatever. I don't know what, like a lot of kids. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. So pro, they got onto their proteins and they would and then we started having more smoothies and we started adding it. Yeah. Smoothie was a big transition point, actually. Like that was a good way to be like, okay, in my smoothie, I have berries and avocado. And then at the time I was getting raw. Well, we still get it sometimes too, the raw dairies and like raw, fresh stuff. So that was great under the radar on that. Shoot, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that actually. We might. Oh, hopefully we're good. Anyway. Okay. So that was helpful. Like just adding in that part of it. And then what else? Oh, the con. The con was we did years with our kids of more restrictive. And it's not like they've gone off the rails or anything. It's just some of them are a little bit pickier because they're not, I haven't had that food, which I mean, it's usually things like onion. Like we didn't cook with a lot of onions and we didn't, peppers and some of the nightshade. I was really staying away from nightshade vegetables. And I still am like, there are certain things that we know the constituents are a bit more pro-inflammatory. Not that we need to be afraid of them, but they don't need to make up the majority of our diet, right? So there's some things that I'm like, I'm okay if you don't eat a ton of that for them. However, when we're gone to someone else's house and they've cooked a certain way and it's got all these different things and my kids are like, I don't want to eat that. What is that? Right. So I think the benefit to having more variety also is like if you're traveling or you're visiting other people, there's a little bit less pickiness happening. So that's more on the kid front. For myself with my gut, I felt like I couldn't add in anything in too big of volume. Nor did I really want to though. And then if I did, it was like, we had the other episodes on bloating, right? Yeah. And it's like, if I were to just eat like a whole bunch, like a whole bunch of slices of pizza, I'd be like, oh man, I feel bloated versus if I'm like, okay, I'm adding back in this one slice, and I still feel like I need protein in a sense. There's people who are like, what? You only had one breast of chicken all week? I do not know how you do that.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. So anyways, I added it all back in slowly. I didn't really feel afraid necessarily, but I felt like there were times where if I ate too much of a carbohydrate, I would go into that mentality of I need to train more.
Compensation?
Yeah, like compensating for it, feeling like, I guess not afraid of the food itself, but concerned that I might start acquiring more adipose tissue than I want.
I see. So there was a fear in there.
Yeah.
Wasn't the food necessarily,
Not the food
it was the impact of
body composition.
The food might do, which is very interesting. And I did want to make a point while you're talking too, because I know you talk about like, you don't really crave these quote unquote unhealthy foods or whatever, like cereal, for example. I think we mentioned that in a previous episode, which I think has a lot to do with how you've trained your gut as well. So people who don't know, your gut will essentially send cravings to whatever bacteria you feed the most. So for example, if you eat a crap ton of pizza and like really ultra processed foods, your gut will start to develop more maybe bad bacteria that do crave that and want to eat that food in your gut. And so it will send signals to your brain to have those cravings. And likewise, if you starve those out and then start to feed your body with more nutrient dense foods, diverse foods, things like that, you will lessen the cravings that you have for, say, pizza or chocolate or sugar. So that's a very interesting thing that I kind of like to correlate as well. And in terms of how you figured out that your gut was maybe not in the healthiest place, obviously you had the immune issues. Did you experience, because I find this a lot, any mood issues or like cravings for things, maybe like fat storage was different, your hormonal cycle. Did you see any of that kind of get disrupted?
Well, when I was younger, my parents were like, oh my goodness, Emily, she's either high or she's low. Like I would have the crashes where it'd be like super energetic. I'm like talkative and wild almost. And then I'd be like, and they used to call it deadhead mode, where I'd just be like, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. Right. So I had a lot of highs and lows with my blood sugar when I was younger. And then I ended up having hypoglycemic episodes where I would faint. And that's when my thyroid got messed up. And then that's when I had all the cankers and all of that. And then my thyroid was hyperthyroid because I was training all the time. I was eating tons of food, whatever type of food you can name, I would eat it. And it was like not enough. Like I was super skinny, overtraining, underslept, not necessarily eating all nutrient dense foods. So that whole period, definitely energy, mood crashes, highs and lows. Then when I came into adulthood, I would say more so the mood would shift right before my period more intensely. Like I used to be like, the world is ending, everything's crashing, I'm crying, where I don't have that anymore. Like I'm pretty stable. We have moments, of course, everyone has moments, but not to the extent. And I think there's a few things that tie into that. One, gut health. That's huge, like what we're talking about today. But more, what I used to believe that it was about figuring out what foods am I allergic to, what's irritating my system, all of the stuff we just said, gluten, oats, corn, those are the enemies, right? Those are the things that are causing all my problems. When really big shifts that occurred was, yes, I starved those bacteria during that carnivore phase. I added things back in slowly. I've allowed my gut bacteria to evolve over time. Time frame is a huge thing. Things don't happen overnight. And also throughout that time was when I started to just be more calm in my life, like not freaking out about every little thing. I started praying the rosary, started sleeping through the night. I hadn't been sleeping through the night in years and years and years. That was huge for my gut health and my head too, like the connection just between like your brain fog and all of that. And even through this, like having concussions, I still think I was better overall because I was sleeping and my gut health was better. And then just overall eating more calories and not overtraining. I know that's like a lot, like a big umbrella answer, but it really is. Like there's so many times I see women now who they're like, oh yeah, I just can't eat this. Or yeah, I just have this issue. And I'm like looking at them, I'm like, I bet you if you slept through the night and you just ate a little bit more of nutrient-dense foods during the day, you'd feel 1,000 times better.
Absolutely. Cortisol slows your digestion down. So when you're chronically overstressed or underfed, overtrained, not sleeping well, that's obviously going to impact your gut mobility and how well it processes the food that you actually eat. So I think that's a massive correlation with gut health, is just the overall stress load, which we've talked about many times.
But it's such a big thing. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's something that people almost like brush aside. Like, oh yeah, okay, cool, sleep more. Or like, oh yeah, cool, like whatever, I should eat more food. Like it seems like it's not the answer. I think that's like an irritation point for me. I'm like, no, but it is. How do we get that through? How do we get that
really
message
funny
through?
It's super funny that you say that, because I say this all the time. It's like I see people, they're like, I'm gonna start eating more when I get my period back. I'm gonna eat more when my bloating goes down. And it's like, I'm gonna start the business when I get rich. It's like, well, what? That's kind of the wrong way to think about it. So if you want to not be bloated, you're actually going to have to eat more before that actually takes place, not the other way around. Things don't get better before you have to take the leap. So if you're someone who thinks like maybe you're eating not a lot of food, or you're scared of eating more food because of the added adipose tissue, I encourage you to kind of work through that, because typically speaking, that's your answer. Because if your body does not have enough resources, aka calories and energy, it's going to down-regulate processes in your body. One of them being obviously your period, which I talk about literally all the time. But another process is your digestive system that's very energy demanding. right? So if you don't have a lot of food going in your digestive tract to have calories to actually move it through, it's just going to kind of stay there or go really, really slowly. So the fix for that is to incrementally work your calories up. I kind of do this with my clients rather than just adding a bunch of food, because obviously that's going to be super duper uncomfortable. Like you mentioned, things don't happen overnight, neither does your digestion speed up. It doesn't happen overnight. So incrementally, maybe adding another snack, adding a little bit more of a portion to your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And over time, it's actually going to improve because your body has resources to function properly. You don't need to control yourself. You don't need to control your gut. It knows what it needs to do. You just need to give it the resources in order to function properly, right?
Yeah, definitely. And with you, like I know we've shared lots of our journeys, like pieces of it over time, but did you find like what happened with your gut as you went through your recovery period? We talked a little bit about recovery on last episode.
Mm-hmm.
So not wanting to get into all of that, but focusing more in on like how your digestion was and all of that, and like the length of time even.
Yeah, yeah. So my digestion through my eating disorder actually wasn't terrible. It was when I started recovery is when it started to
Mm,
I started to get really bloated. Obviously, because I was eating probably next to nothing anyways. So what did I have to be bloated about?
right.
But when I started recovery and when I started eating more, I increased my food really drastically, very quickly. And so my gut was already very slow. And so I added a
Mm,
bunch of volume of food, and then I got super duper bloated for quite some time. And it was very uncomfortable. However, intuitively, I kind of knew it was going to get better because I was reading all these stories of like, you don't have to do anything. You just have to get through this time. And I think after about, don't quote me because this was quite a long time ago, after about a month of eating quite a bit more than I was previously, my inflammation went down a lot. I wasn't as bloated. I actually felt a little bit leaner. I was still eating the same
mm,
amount of calories. I was still the exact same weight as I was previously, like after I had gained all the weight back, and I felt leaner. So it does fix itself. Your body, again, does allocate resources and energy to your gut over time. But it is one of those things that you have to be patient with and have this just like, I am not turning back. I don't care how uncomfortable this is. I am just going to get through this.
yeah.
So for me, it was more of a waiting game. And if I were to go back and do it differently, I would have done it a little bit slower rather than putting all of that stress on my gut, because that was quite a big stress on my digestive tract after already being stressed. So I don't think that was a super helpful decision. At the time, I was just like, I'm so done with myself right now. So that's the choice that I made. But yeah, I would have gone a little bit slower and allowed my body to adapt a little bit before pushing on. And that's the avenue that I take with my clients as well. And what I find with them. So say someone is just trying to get their cycle back, they're eating maybe 1,600 calories. We increase slightly over maybe a week or two. And what we find is their metabolism starts to slowly increase. And so they allocate calories to their digestive system. Bloating comes down, hunger cues come up, and they're like, Haley, I need more food. I'm hungrier. And I'm like, yes, this is working. Your body is working, finally functioning properly. Let's keep going. So I
Yeah.
wish I would have done that, but obviously live and learn. And that's why I teach what I teach. But
Yeah. And now, what about now? Like,
now
do you feel like you're like, oh, my gut is good now?
I
Or do
feel
you still have,
amazing. The only thing, so for you ladies who actually cycle regularly, what happens so you have two distinct phases. I've talked about this before, follicular. Nothing really bad happens in the follicular, so I won't spend too much time on that.
it
Then
feels good.
when progesterone takes over, so in your luteal phase post ovulation, progesterone is now present and high, and progesterone decreases the speed in which you digest food. And so you can feel maybe a little bit more bloated. There's a little bit more water retention. Maybe you might be a bit constipated. And this does have to do with your hormone ratios in that time of the month. And then when progesterone and estrogen drop, triggering your cycle, you have what's called period poops. And this is just the increase of mobility in your gut. And so that's the only gut issue. It's not even an issue, it's just what
Yeah. It's
happens
part of it.
that, yeah, it's just part of it that I deal with now, but I never get super duper bloated. And I have to say that is one, because I eat regularly. I don't fast anymore. I don't inflict that sort of stress on my body. Sleep is my like sacred place. I really prioritize my sleep, because when you're not sleeping, you remember that time when I was
Yeah.
moving and I was like not sleeping, I was waking up at like 2 a.m. My gut was feeling that one.
Yeah, it was messed.
Yeah, my gut was definitely feeling that one. I was feeling really watery and puffy and bloated and just really not great because I wasn't sleeping awesome and my cortisol was high. Hence, I was waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning. So again, these are signs that something is off. It's not necessarily, oh my gosh, I need a new supplement or I'm allergic to something. Sometimes it's stress, sometimes it's sleep. It's not necessarily the food that you're eating. So you have to have that kind of self-awareness. But that's a time where I wasn't awesome with my gut health. And since that's resolved, everything has been so much better. I try and get different varieties of food. So when I go shopping or I meal prep, I try and rotate different meat sources and different vegetables and different carb sources so I can get a different variety of things going into my gut. Probiotics. I'm a big probiotic galley. Yogurt is my favorite thing ever. I don't eat like kimchi and kombucha and all of that stuff. I think it's gross. But if that floats your boat, then you can go that route as well. That is going to promote the good bacteria in your gut. So there's probiotics and prebiotics. Probiotics are the bacteria, prebiotics are the food that your probiotics eat and make them stronger. So I have an emphasis on that. And I don't go like way overboard either. Like, I think, especially for my clientele and people who may follow me, they go to the doctor and like, oh, my period's missing because my gut is off. And it's one of those things again where it's like, oh, I'm going to fix my gut and then get my period back, and it's going to make me get my period back, where it's like, well, maybe you need to eat more, not just like you're allergic to something. Like, you probably do have leaky gut, but like it's not because of any certain food, it's because you need some nourishment. Your body is kind of deteriorating because it doesn't have the calories and nutrients that it needs. But I'd say
And
those are
don't
the biggest
assume.
things. Yeah, don't assume
Don't
that it's
assume you're eating
just
enough.
yeah, exactly. Let your body tell you if you're eating enough. Don't
Yeah.
go to these calculators or the BMI stuff. I talk about that all the time, how much I hate BMI. But yeah, I would say those are the biggest contributors to why I don't have any problems with my gut. The only time I do is when I'm overly stressed, which thankfully doesn't happen too often. Just when I make really big life decisions like getting a dog.
Exactly. Something I wanted to speak to though that you brought up with your sleeping disruptive. This is why also multiple reasons your gut might feel off when you travel is because if you're up super early for a flight or a red-eye flight or whatever, the same idea. It's like, one, it's the sleep disruption, but then when you travel places, you're eating different foods that your gut flora hasn't been trained to get used to necessarily. And so that's why two things I do with traveling, or just if you're in a period of high stress and low sleep, that could be helpful for both your brain and your gut, is upping your creatine. If you do take creatine, and you don't even need to, you can take it regularly, but if you're not taking it regular, I kind of go in phases where I'll take creatine. And then there's times when I just don't, but I do take it when my sleep is low, because we're always looking at balancing that energy availability. And creatine is just a way for your body to, make sure you have enough ATP where you have enough energy available for your brain. And then that affects your sleep and your gut and all of that. So that is something you can do. We had a whole episode way back on that, talking about creatine supplementation. And again, this isn't like what you said, Haley. You always talk about the cupcake, and then supplementing is like the sprinkles on top. So what I'm not saying is just take creatine all the time and it'll solve your problems. Do the things that you just said first. And then if you're like, yeah, I'm just really off or I'm jet lagged, that's a good time to add in a few days of taking more creatine, and it's just going to help your body play catch up. It's a way to kind of get through those zones that are more challenging and get everything reset. So that was something that I thought of for the sleep disruption
Yeah.
that can be helpful.
Same with traveling. Like I went to Mexico with like a girls trip family thing in March, and I'm definitely someone who gets digestive issues, more so like the constipation aspect of it. And this happens every single time for me. And so I've narrowed this down to my little version of science. So I literally did not poo for like 5 days straight, and I was getting concerned, and my stomach was hurting so bad. It was like, oh, it was really bad. Because then I started thinking like, I'm having 3 full meals, snacks, having little, daiquiris at the poolside. Where is this all going? Like it's in there. Like, what? Whoa. So by the 5th day, I was like, okay, I got to do something about this. Electrolytes I brought, magnesium helps your gut a lot. Another thing that happens when you're on vacation or you're in a different place, your water intake is down quite a bit. So I was really focused on water intake, and just getting like more fiber in, because again, that can also be something like when you're on vacation, you're not super adamant about what you're eating. So upping my fiber intake as well. Another element can be alcohol. When you're on vacation, you might be having a little bit more alcohol, aggravating your gut, so on and so forth. So those are 3 things that I do on vacation that seem to help a lot. But yeah, it's a phenomenon that happens to a lot of people, because I was searching on it. I was sitting there in my room because I had to go back because my stomach hurt so much. I also got my period, so it was like, oh my god, double whammy. Darn. Eating my chicken soup that I room serviced. And I was on TikTok looking at all these things. I was like, how do I make myself go poo? Another funny story. Okay, this is the last funny story about this trip. I don't know why I'm outing myself, but it's funny. So
you just feel compelled.
Yeah, in at the resort we were staying at, they had an issue with the plumbing for about 2 days. And I had gotten up. This was probably day 5 that I had not shit.
Oh no.
And I was walking to the gym, get my water bottle and get a coffee, and then go to the gym. And I was like, I feel an urge coming on.
It's time.
And okay, the plumbing was not working. Only one at the end of the resort. So
oh my goodness.
it was out there, and it was still like the sun was kind of coming out, and I was walking I was like running, bolting myself to the end of the property to get to this only one bathroom that was working. And I was like, I don't even care who's in here. I am taking my shot. And then that's the end of that story. But it was euphoric. It really was euphoric.
You're like, it's done.
Of course, it was the 2 days that most of the bathrooms weren't working at all.
Yeah.
So like, they shut them down. I'm like, oh my God.
That's wild.
Yeah, so I don't know where that came from. But anyways, on vacation, that's a very big phenomenon. So magnesium, creatine, water, fiber, rest,
electrolytes,
sleep, electrolytes. That's the duo that we want.
Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So do you have anything? Yeah. What else are you wanting to say on this?
Yeah, I was thinking about this because I was thinking about my habits on our Jamaica trip. And I was like, it's interesting what you said about the bacteria you've developed over time and how that affects the foods you want to eat. And I mean, even your cravings. I don't consider myself a high cravings person. Like you said, like it's probably because of eating certain ways for so many years. Or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, or psychologically, are you I don't want to use the word disciplined. Like, I feel like there's over time, you can train yourself to be a little bit less impulsive in a sense when we talk about the cravings and the binging and all of that. And I feel like there's this overlay between your physiology and your gut health, and then the psychological side that's like, are you a highly motivated by food type person? I think some people are more than others. And then how does that affect your mood and what you crave and all of that sort of stuff? And for years now, I haven't been a high sweets, sugary craving person. So when I'm on vacation, I'm like just getting an omelet every morning. There's all these pastries and I'm like, I honestly just don't feel like them. Versus I feel like my 13-year-old would be like, oh my goodness, there's chocolate croissants and there's like all of the pastries, right? And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So I'm getting an omelet. And I'm loving the mango. I ate mango every day. Mango and watermelon. Love those. And then even at lunches, they had chicken and they had rice and stir-fried vegetables. Like I really went that direction a lot. I didn't feel like a ton of junk. And then I feel like when I'm ordering at a restaurant, I'm like, ooh, I got this rack of lamb the one night. It was delicious. And then when the dessert came, I feel like I ate like half of it. Like I didn't even want the whole thing. I'm not really, but I didn't feel like I was trying to restrict myself from it. But even with like a sweet, sugary alcoholic drink, I'm like, ugh, I take like 3 sips. I'm like, here, John, finish my drink. I don't
know,
feel
me
like
too.
it. You know what I'm saying? So then I'm like, well, I got a hot and dirty martini with like the hot, I think I talked about this to you already, like with the hot peppers and it's spicy and salty. And then I'm like, okay, I can drink this. But I couldn't drink like the high syrupy, super sweet. I'm like, I just can't do this. Whereas I feel like some people live for that. Like when people go and get a slushie, I'm like, how are you drinking that whole big slushie drink? That doesn't compute with my brain. Like, I feel like it's like, it feels repulsive to me.
Yeah, I think those two things are connected too. Like there's the psychological, but there's also the gut, but they're both connected as well. Right. So your gut kind of communicates with your brain. So is it your gut talking or is it your brain and psychological thinking? You know
like
what I
it's
mean?
just
So
a
I
blend.
think they kind of marry up as well. And obviously we're very habitual creatures. So what you do regularly will become who you are. So if you're not someone who eats sweets, one, you're not going to have the bacteria in your gut that eat sugar, but you're also not used to eating sugar. So it's not something that you gravitate towards mentally. So I think like both of those things kind of play into it, where of course we've talked about adapting to the stressors that you put yourself under. So if you're a very impulsive person, like for myself, getting out of the binge eating, like it's very easy for me to not act on my binge urge right now because I haven't been doing it for years now. But before it was super duper hard. Not only one, because my like gut was used to having this amount of dopamine hit, like my brain was used to this dopamine hit, but also I was actually eating a lot more like sugary. I was really a big sugar fiend. And I still really like cake. Don't get me wrong. I love my cake. It's just not the same craving. And it's hard for me to articulate because I don't know. I like it still, but it's not this impulsive thing. So like to your point, I think it does have a lot to do with the impulsiveness and the dopamine hit that food gives you. But there's also an aspect of like what you're feeding your bacteria in your gut, if that makes sense.
Yes. Well, when you're saying that, I'm thinking of like, there's certain sweets that I really like. Like I like gooey ginger cookies, which still have an element of spice to them, right? Like, you know what I mean? And then there's these lemon cookies from a place that are in a bakery in our area that I'm like, they're delicious. But if I buy them, I will eat one and then I'm good. Whereas I have friends and family members who are like, oh my goodness, I can't have pie in the house. I'll just eat the whole pie that day. And I'm like, what? Really? Like I'm okay with eating a slice of pie, but I feel like there's not, like you said, that compulsive, no, but if it's sitting on my counter, it's going to be gone in the next, 24 to 48 hours. So that's a big deal. Like when you can get a handle on, I can have this in my house and I can have one versus I need to eat the whole package.
Yeah.
That's a big deal right there.
Absolutely.
That takes time.
Yeah.
To
the
develop.
Mental impulse of it is really hard to get over. But once you get it, it's really nice not to be controlled by food.
It is. It's very freeing. I think it's very, very freeing.
Absolutely. And you kind of have this realization too that I think going through like my binge eating as well, I kept blaming the food and I'm like, I can't keep this in my house because this food is the problem. And if I have peanut butter in my house, it's game over. I got my spoon, I got my peanut butter, and Haley's going to town. Now I have like, I think 7 different very varied peanut butters. Peanut butter, walnut butter, sun butter, pistachio butter, cashew butter, all the butters. Justin got them for me for Valentine's Day. He didn't get me flowers. He got me peanut butter. And that is the love language that I love. And they're still in my cupboard and I use them like regularly, but I just don't feel the impulse to go get a spoon and eat to the point where my gut feels like crap. You know what I mean? So yeah, to your point, very, very freeing place to be with your relationship with food as well. But did you have any closing thoughts before I go over some of the actionable steps our viewers can take away?
Yes, I do have a closing thought. The best part about like this whole big long conversation, best part right here, in my opinion, is that your gut can heal. Because that is, I feel like there are people who don't know that. It's like, I have this problem. I'm just going to have it for life. I can't handle this type of food, or my gut is doing whatever, or my joints are inflamed because my gut is irritated and literally there's bacteria leaking into your bloodstream and congregating in your joints and causing them to be inflamed. Those issues can heal when you actually start doing these things that help support your natural gut flora that is healthy and good. And so I just wanted to put that in as like the encouraging point of, if you are in the trenches of your gut sucks right now, you start doing these things and you will see it heal over time and you will be amazed.
Absolutely. I love that takeaway, because we get so identified in like, oh, I'm just the girl with digestive issues and that's the way it is, and so I'm just going to avoid it. Where no, if you want to heal it, you definitely can via these 4 steps I'm going to go over. So here's some tangible steps that you guys can take away throughout this podcast. So 1, eat diversity. I studied some of Dr. Megan Rossi. I think she's like the whole gut health guru in terms of female physiology. And I believe she says to get 30 different diverse legumes, vegetables, different sources per month. Don't quote me on that. But essentially, the whole overarching thing here is diversify your fueling. I used to be someone who, like, I am only getting chicken. Every week I get chicken and I prepare chicken. Every week I get potatoes and I prepare potatoes. Every week I get broccoli and I prepare broccoli. Now I kind of swap those out. I have fish, I have chicken, I have fatty beef, I have chicken thighs, I have different kind of variations of food. And I think that's a really good way to diversify the gut colonies, so the bacteria in your gut. So you can better be adaptable to different foods that, say you go on vacation, your gut isn't going to freak the heck out, right? So it's all about the diversity of your gut. Fiber, 25-ish grams per day is also a good place to be. Do not overdo the fiber. Fiber sources also matter, but also underdoing your fiber is going to cause your gut mobility to slow down. Probiotic rich food. So I mentioned this. Yogurt. If you're someone who doesn't like the whole fermented food stuff, yogurt is the way to go. That's my avenue, but you have to look for the live and active culture label most of the time. So that's live and active bacteria that is actually going to be more beneficial for your gut. Otherwise, you can do kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir. I think that's another yogurt kind of drink. Miso, sourdough, I absolutely love. Some different cheeses, things like that to include in your day-to-day. And then also prebiotics. So prebiotics feed your probiotics, and some of the sources, this is funny. I looked up some of the sources and I'm like, who in the heck eats this? Anyways, I'll tell you guys the sources. Barely ripe bananas, artichokes, onions. Okay, I eat onions. Garlic, I'll eat garlic. Leeks. Asparagus, I'll eat asparagus.
Yes.
Dandelion greens. Who eats that? Oatmeal and legumes. Okay, I'll eat that. But some of these things are just ridiculous. Like, I'm not cracking open a barely ripe banana. Like, that's absolutely absurd.
Oh, what? Like green banana.
That's
basically
a prebiotic source. Yeah, I know.
I love green bananas.
Do you actually? You're a psychopath.
I hate ripe bananas. They're too sweet.
Really?
Yes, I am a psychopath. Yes, keep going.
You're such a psychopath. And then step 4 on supplements. So one thing on supplements, food is always the better option. But if you are going to do a supplement pattern, probiotic supplement, you do want to look for high quality and strain specific, not just some kitchen sink thing, because essentially it's going to be different. And what you can do is have a stool analysis. I've never done this, but I've been very interested in doing it on, what your gut bacteria actually looks like, rather than just doing like, oh, I'm just going to have a probiotic, and you're just wasting your money. So those are supplementations. However, I'm always a food first kind of person. And if you have a good diverse diet, you likely don't need to take a probiotic at all. So that's my 2 cents on that. That's all.
Amazing.
I got for you. Yeah. Did you have any other thoughts before I do my amazing outro?
No, that was great. I want to hear your outro.
Sweet. I changed it, by the way. So, okay, hold tight on your seats, okay? Okay. Firstly, share this episode with a friend who needs it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spotify, leave a review. You know all the drills. However you want to help us, please help us out. And until next time, eat more, stress less, lift heavy, and stay in the gray.